A 20-year-old Ukrainian model vanishes in Dubai after attending what friends described as a hotel party. 10 days later, she's discovered on the side of a road, bloodied, broken, and unable to speak. The official explanation? A construction site accident. But her family believes something far more sinister happened to Maria Kovalchuk, something connected to Dubai's shadowy world of wealthy sheikhs and what insiders call porta-potty parties. What really happened during those missing 10 days, and why are authorities so quick to dismiss the case? The story I'm about to share reveals the dangerous reality lurking beneath the glamorous facade of Dubai's influencer scene. By the end of this video, you'll understand why lawyers are now desperately warning models to avoid certain invitations in Dubai, no matter how lucrative they might seem. Maria Kovalchuk's journey to Dubai followed the same path as countless young models and influencers. The Ukrainian beauty informed her friends she was attending what seemed like a typical hotel party, the kind that fills Instagram stories of those living the Dubai dream. But something went terribly wrong. When Maria missed her scheduled flight to Thailand 2 days after the party, her family's concern quickly escalated to panic. No calls, no messages, no social media updates. It was as if she had simply vanished into the desert air. For a young woman who regularly stayed connected online, this silence was deafening. But what makes this case particularly disturbing isn't just the disappearance, it's what happened next. 10 days after she was last heard from, Maria was discovered by the side of a road in Dubai. The condition she was found in defies simple explanation. Maria's body was bloodied and broken, with multiple fractures including a shattered spine and broken limbs. Perhaps most telling of all, she was completely unable to speak. You might wonder how someone ends up in such a horrific state. The official explanation from Dubai authorities is surprisingly straightforward. They claim Maria entered a restricted construction site alone and fell from a height. Case closed. But is it really that simple? Maria's family tells a dramatically different story, one that points to a much darker reality for young women in Dubai. According to Russian media reports, her relatives believe she may have been forced into sexual slavery, repeatedly assaulted over several days, and then callously dumped on the roadside when her captors were finished with her. Let's take a step back and examine what we know for certain. Before her disappearance, Maria reportedly met with 2 men who claimed to be from the modeling business. The next day, she told her family she planned to stay with these men overnight. This was the last normal communication anyone had with her. What happened in the hours and days that followed remains shrouded in mystery, but there are disturbing theories that connect to a notorious aspect of Dubai's underground party scene. Have you ever heard of what insiders call porta-potty parties? This disturbing term describes gatherings where female influencers, often from Eastern European countries, are offered astronomical sums of money to participate in extreme and degrading sexual acts for the entertainment of wealthy men. These aren't ordinary parties. They're organized specifically to fulfill the dark fetishes and fantasies of some of the region's ultra-rich. Women who attend these events can reportedly be paid upwards of $100,000 for a single night. But the psychological and physical price they pay can be devastating. According to those familiar with these parties, attendees are sometimes subjected to humiliating and dehumanizing acts that go far beyond conventional boundaries. It's important to note that Maria's actual attendance at such an event hasn't been confirmed. However, the circumstances surrounding her disappearance and discovery have raised serious questions about what really happened during those 10 missing days. The contrast between the official version of events and what Maria's family believes happened couldn't be more stark. Dubai police have stated publicly that a comprehensive investigation has revealed that she sustained serious injuries after entering a restricted construction site alone and falling from a height. They insist this was simply an unfortunate accident. But consider this. Would a young woman in an unfamiliar city randomly wander into a construction site in the middle of the night? And if it was truly an accident, why was she missing for 10 full days before being found? Maria's family strongly rejects the construction site story. When she was finally located, she had no identification, no phone, and no possessions of any kind. Everything that could potentially connect her to what really happened had vanished along with those 10 days of her life. The severity of Maria's injuries speaks volumes about what she endured. After being rushed to a hospital, she required 4 separate surgical procedures just to save her life. Her physical injuries were so extensive that, at the time of her discovery, she was unable to communicate what had happened to her. Maria's mother, Anna, immediately flew from Norway to be at her daughter's bedside as she began the long road to recovery. In a social media post that seemed carefully worded, Anna wrote, "She is getting medical treatment and everything will be all right. She will make a full recovery." But the question remains, recovery from what exactly? The case has gained enough attention that prominent Russian lawyer Katya Gordon has spoken out, specifically warning influencers about the dangers of attending certain parties in Dubai. The model was found dying on the side of the road in the UAE after a party with Arab sheiks, Gordon stated. The scandal with the porta-potty parties has been raging for over a year. This warning suggests that Maria's case isn't an isolated incident, but potentially part of a broader pattern that few are willing to discuss openly. What makes Dubai particularly challenging for cases like Maria's is the complex intersection of wealth, power, and a legal system that operates very differently from Western countries. The glittering city has worked hard to position itself as a playground for the rich and famous, a place where luxury knows no bounds and discretion is guaranteed. This carefully cultivated image generates billions in tourism and investment. Any suggestion that there might be a dangerous underbelly to Dubai's party scene threatens that valuable reputation. It's not difficult to understand why authorities might prefer the construction site explanation, regardless of its plausibility. For young models and influencers drawn to Dubai by promises of lucrative opportunities, Maria's story serves as a sobering warning. The line between legitimate modeling work and potentially dangerous situations can become blurred, especially when huge sums of money are involved. What's particularly concerning is how these arrangements often begin, with seemingly professional meetings about modeling opportunities that gradually shift into something very different. Young women, often in a foreign country without strong support networks, can find themselves in vulnerable positions before they fully understand what they've agreed to. In Maria's case, we know she met with men claiming to be from the modeling business shortly before her disappearance. What exactly was discussed in those meetings? Were they legitimate industry professionals? Or were they scouts looking for participants for something else entirely? The answers to these questions may never be fully known. Maria's ability to share her own account has been compromised by both her physical condition and the complex realities of pursuing such allegations in Dubai. It's worth noting that Dubai police have confirmed that Maria is currently receiving medical care with her family present. This acknowledgement came only after media pressure and represents the extent of their public engagement with the suspicious circumstances of her case. While we may never know exactly what happened during Maria's 10 missing days, her story highlights the potential dangers facing young influencers, navigating the murky waters where social media fame meets extreme wealth. The allure of quick money and luxury experiences can sometimes blind people to the risks they're taking. The reality is that for every successful influencer posting glamorous Dubai content, there are countless others who find themselves in compromising or even dangerous situations. The power imbalance between wealthy patrons and young women seeking opportunities creates conditions where exploitation becomes possible. Maria's physical recovery has already begun. According to her family, she will eventually heal from her broken bones and external injuries. But the psychological impact of whatever happened during those 10 days may take much longer to address. For now, Maria remains in Dubai, unable to leave until she physically recovers enough to travel. Her mother stays by her side, navigating both her daughter's medical needs and the complicated process of dealing with authorities who seem determined to maintain their construction site narrative. As this story continues to develop, it serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities that can exist in the influencer economy. The pressure to create content that projects a lifestyle of luxury and exclusivity can push young creators toward accepting invitations and opportunities that may not be what they seem. For those following in Maria's footsteps, drawn to Dubai by the promise of high-paying modeling jobs or influencer opportunities, her experience should prompt serious reflection. The glittering skyline and luxury hotel parties may dominate Instagram feeds, but they tell only one side of the story. The other side, the one Maria experienced, remains largely hidden from public view, discussed only in hushed warnings between models or in the concerned messages from families trying to protect their loved ones. As we conclude this troubling story, it's important to recognize that while Maria's case has received some media attention, many similar situations likely go unreported. The combination of shame, fear, and the practical difficulties of pursuing justice in a foreign country means that the full scale of this problem remains unknown. What is clear is that beneath Dubai's carefully constructed image as a paradise of luxury and opportunity, there exists another reality, one where wealth and power can sometimes override safety and consent. For young women navigating this world, Maria's story serves as a warning that some opportunities, no matter how financially rewarding they appear, may carry hidden and devastating costs. As Maria begins her long journey toward physical and emotional recovery, her case raises questions that extend far beyond one model's terrible experience. It forces us to examine the darker side of influencer culture and the vulnerabilities created when social media fame collides with extreme wealth and power. The next time you see those perfect Instagram photos from Dubai's most exclusive locations, remember that for some, the reality behind those images is far from the filtered perfection that fills your feed. Behind the glitter and glamour, stories like Maria's remind us that paradise can sometimes conceal paradise lost.